fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Voyager class BATTLETRAP from the Transformers Studio series from Hasbro, and BATTLETRAP is from the upcoming film Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And we have the plastic-free packaging here. The windows are getting even tinier, but I kind of like it. Gives more room for artwork here on the front, which is pretty cool. Have a close-up of that same artwork over here on this side, and then over here we have the same artwork again, so kind of have like varying close-up angles of the artwork, which is kind of hilarious. Got the Transformers Rise of the Beast logo there on the top, and then on the back here we have some nice product shots of the robot mode and the vehicle mode. Kind of funny that we're getting two tow trucks and two different lines so close together. I think that's kind of funny, but apparently this is an officially licensed GM vehicle, so huzzah. Backdrop is included. Of course, we'll take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead, get BATTLETRAP out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. Taking a quick look at BATTLETRAP in the backdrop here that is included. He looks pretty cool, fills the space very nicely. But if we move him out of the way for a moment, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. We are getting, a new unique scene, which I appreciate. It's not just the same scene over and over again. In fact, I don't think we've had one duplicated yet. But we've got some like ancient Greek columns here in the middle of a park. And then there's an overturned car and some things are on fire. There's a regular house here in the background. I just don't know where this is or what the heck's going on. So if anyone has any information, please let me know in the comments below because I'm very curious. But very cool scene. Very interesting scene. Really have no idea what's going on, but I appreciate that it's unique. Here is BATTLETRAP out of the packaging, and for the most part, I think the robot mode looks pretty cool. Definitely some things I don't like, mainly this weird kibble that just hangs off the back of the forearm here. This is going to be the kind of like, tow apparatus for the back of the truck, but I really wish they could have done something better than just have it hang off the back of the forearm here. It's really kind of massive. It would be one thing if it was just like something that ran along the back of the forearm, but it's this big, gigantic piece that they tried to fold up, but it's still really just hanging off there. The cab of the truck kind of forms a little backpack. And when I first got the figure out of the box, it used to stay against the back much better. And I've transformed him once or twice now, and it doesn't fit against the back as nicely anymore. So I don't know if it's a little warped or something, but it just feels a little off now. The legs are very long and kind of thin, which I don't know, just kind of... It's a little spindly for me. I don't necessarily love that aesthetic. Don't hate it. Not a deal breaker by any means, but I don't know. Just really long, skinny legs looks a little weird to me. But I do like the chest. I think the head sculpt looks good. I'm not quite sure what's going on. It looks like he's got maybe some crazy sunglasses and then like a weird tiny little mouth. I don't know. It's an interesting head sculpt to be sure. But it's definitely painted very nicely. The grill here, or I should say the fake grill, as we'll find out later, looks pretty cool. Nicely painted all in this area. You also have these like large gaps here where this panel has to connect to the truck. And you just have these peg pieces just sticking out there. I don't love that as much either, but I get it. I don't know. It just seems a little unpolished. Like, it seems like they, created the guy and he looks cool, and then there was a couple things that they could have ironed out to just make him even better, and they were just like, it's good enough. Let's go. That's kind of what it feels like. Again, not terrible. Not saying he's not worth picking up. Just feel like there's a couple things that they could have done a little better. But anyway, that's just how it feels. But anyway, let's get into articulation. So... head is on a ball joint. You can look up about that far. You can look down. Not really that much, but if you unpeg the head, as it kind of naturally comes unpegged, basically how this works is you can see there's a little tab right there, and there's this panel here is supposed to tab into it, and at least on mine, it pops off a fair amount of the time. But let's see if I can get this back on there. If you untab it, you can get a little bit more range of motion out of the head, but you can certainly look side to side. Tilt head side to side, not so much, but back, down. Again, if you pop that up. I don't know why this is popping off all of a sudden. It's kind of really annoying. I wish it wouldn't keep popping off like that, but you have a rotation here in the shoulder as well as a hinge. This little piece here on the back, honestly, I feel like it just gets in the way more than it adds to the overall aesthetic, but that's just me. You have a 90-degree bend there in the elbow as well as a bicep swivel there. The hands and forearm are a solid piece, so nothing in the wrist. And then again, you have these pieces that just hang off the back of the forearm. You do have a waist swivel there. Kick pretty far forward. Kick decently far back, but you hit the backpack. Kick very far out to the side. You have a thigh swivel. You have a slightly over 90-degree bend in the knee. And then you have ankle tilt. This can go front to back because of the transformation, but then you also have the tilt there from side to side. So he's not bad. Like I said, I feel like, and I didn't have this problem in the beginning, but the more I handle him, the more he's starting to like fall apart on me, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to say fall apart like pieces are dropping off, but like things aren't wanting to stay clicked into place the more I handle him, which is not a great sign, but we'll see how he holds up. He does have one accessory, this wrecking ball piece, very similar to the one that came with Bulkhead from the first wave of Legacy. You just pop it into the hand, and then you close it up around, and now he's got a wrecking ball hand. I do not believe it is the same exact accessory, but it's very similar, and it works very similarly. Unfortunately, I don't have Bulkhead handy to do a direct comparison. You can also open it up, and this peg right here, this rectangular peg, can peg into this translucent orange piece here, like so. And you can just wear it on his back if you just want to store it there. So yeah, robot mode overall, I think it's fine. It's not perfect in my opinion. Like I said, the kind of thin, long legs are a little off proportion to me. I do not like these things hanging off the forearm at all. And the head kind of comes unpegged, at least on mine. Just kind of looking at it, not really having to do much. And I wish the backpack stayed in position a little bit better. It was tighter when I first got him out of the box. Then after one or two transformations, it got looser. I don't know if I stretched something out unintentionally. That might be my fault. I don't know that. But certain things are starting to loosen up faster than I would like. Let's put it that way. But overall, I think it's a decent robot mode. Alright, so getting into transformation, you're going to take these light bar pieces that are up here. And I gotta be honest, I don't know if they're trying to be like shoulder cannons or something in the robot mode. They're just not really coming off as anything. But in any case, we're going to straighten these up and bring these kind of out to the side. And then at the same time, you're kind of bringing the backpack down a little bit. As you saw, I didn't even really need to do anything because my backpack has gotten warped or loose or whatever. And so it just naturally falls down. And that's a bummer, but it is what it is, I guess. You're going to bring these down. They will kind of peg into each other here. There's a little tab right there. But then they also have to tab into these little spots down here with these little tabs on the bottom. So kind of bring these down. They will tab into each other in the center and then down into there like that. So that's perfectly good. Then we are going to come down to the head section, and that is going to untab, and then this whole section is going to come forward. And then that will allow us to kind of lift these up. So we can lift this section up like so. And then we're going to take the head, and you can see that there's a little pin right there. So we're just going to bend this in, and that'll kind of tab into itself. And then this will come back up. And then that tab that we were tabbed into before, you can see it right here. I kind of like to use that as a guide. He's got this little tab here on the back of his head, and I like to make sure that kind of rests like right underneath it. So I just use that as like a little guide. You can kind of see it. It's going to be hard to get light in there. Maybe if I move this out of the way. So you can kind of see, like, it just kind of rests against that. Like, see, it's coming up too far. pop this up. There we go. So I just like to let it rest against there. And then you're just going to have the head inside the chest like that. That's where we're ultimately trying to get to. If it comes up a little above it, it's really not that big a deal. It's just a reference point. But essentially, you just want the head in there like so. You're going to spin this around 180 degrees and then flip this section down like so. So now for the arms, we're going to untab this gray section here from this really obnoxiously long tab that just hangs out there. There is a double hinge in what will be kind of like the door of the tow truck. So you can see there's a hinge piece there and a hinge piece there. You have to bring this piece down, and there's kind of a hole in the back of the forearm right there, and that's so that this piece can kind of rest in there. You also have to take these pieces, which are going to be for the tow hook, and spin them around and just kind of get them out of the way for now. This part can be annoying, not because it's necessarily difficult, but because things love to move around while you're doing it. So bring this like this. This will sit in this little section, which will allow you to do this at a complete 90-degree angle, as you can see there. Then we have to bring this around. Whoopsie, it came loose again. So you want it up like this, and then you're going to use these double hinges to sit it in this little area above the hip. So you have to bring this in, and it's constantly trying to move on you, but push this in, and there you go. So there's, like I said, it's kind of a double hinge because there's one right there and there. So that's where you want to get to. Now the other thing is there's kind of a little divot. If I bring this back out, you can see how there's kind of, not really a tab right here, but just kind of like a little area that sticks out. That's going to kind of rest in that little divot. It doesn't tab in tightly. It's just kind of a guide, just so you kind of have things in the right place and kind of keeps things where they're supposed to be, but it's certainly not like a hard tab in situation. It's really just to kind of line things up. So you're going to want to come over here and do the same thing on this side. And I believe before we do that, I forgot I want to swivel this around. The whole waist goes around 180 degrees. So now we can unhinge this one, pop this off, spin this piece down. This will allow, well, first of all, get these things. I hate these things so much. Get them out of the way. Let this fit into that space. And then bring this in like so, like this. And like I said, it's always trying to jump out, and it's really kind of a pain. But get that all where that's supposed to be, something like that. Then you can put the arms down. And again, this is trying to pop out of where it's supposed to be. Okay. At this point, I'm going to try to rock this down. Now, this is kind of difficult as well because everything's kind of, there's a lot of clearance issues here. So try to start with the front, which will allow you to then kind of allow this to pop in, and you can kind of work your way backwards. If you kind of put it straight down, you're going to have a lot of clearance issues, particularly with this area here. So you kind of want to like start with the front, kind of let that flop in, then you can kind of click this part in and just work your way back. And that way you can get the whole front of the truck there done. So the rest of this is a lot easier. That's kind of the more difficult parts of this. So we're going to flip the feet straight down. We're going to flip this around like this. We're going to come to these sections here on the sides of the legs and flip these around. And they'll just kind of peg in underneath. You can see that there's a tab slot and a tab right there. Very simple. And then you're going to just bring this around, and this will clip in here. And then, of course, peg them together there so you can straighten that out. But they peg together right there. And then this comes in and clips here like this. And then for these, all you do is kind of bring them together, and there's one small tab right there that just clips that there like that. And there is your tow truck mode. So here he is in the tow truck mode. I mean, it's fine. It rolls fairly well. I just feel like there's a lot of weird gaps. Like there's this large gap here, and I'm trying to figure out if it's something I'm doing wrong, but I really don't think so. Although I will say that this kind of looks like it's on an upward trajectory. Like it feels like it should be further down. But even still, I feel like there would be a gap there. Having the feet just kind of hang out here on the sides, I'm not super crazy about. Again, I don't really care for the whole toe mechanic thing here. You can take the like wrecking ball piece and just pop this on here if you would like. Basically, these little pieces right here slide onto the ends here, so this goes on like that. It's not super secure. Well, it's better than I thought. So you can put that on the end if you like the look of that. He's okay. I think it's fine. I do like this. I think I like this mode more than the robot mode, but I'm not 100% sure. I just wish it held together a little better. And like I said, maybe I'm transforming it a little incorrectly. I don't think so, but it's very possible. Yeah, it's okay. I think it just takes a couple times of doing it because, you know, there's a lot of things that need to line up and clearance issues and things that are just kind of annoying. I don't really like the hands just hanging out back here either. And then, of course, because I have to, here he is with Scrapbook from Evolution. You can see this being a deluxe, this being a Voyager. He's a little bit bigger, but he's really not that much bigger, to be honest. Not really that much bigger. So I don't know. Who wore it better? Let me know in the comments below. And the last thing I just wanted to do is some quick size comparisons with the other Studio Series Rise of the Beast figures we've gotten so far. So we have Voyager class Cheetor. You can see that they're roughly the same size as you'd expect. And then we have Deluxe Bumblebee and Core class RC, just so you can get a quick idea of how everything scales together. So honestly, I'm a little underwhelmed with BATTLETRAP. When I initially saw pictures online, I thought everything looked really great, and I was really excited. And then I got him in hand, and there's just a couple things I just really don't like. I'm not saying he's a bad figure. I'm just saying he's not as great as I thought he was going to be. Just a couple things that really bug me. Number one is definitely these pieces that just hang off the back of the forearms. I don't think they're that great as a tow mechanism for the tow truck mode. They don't stay together very well because they just have one tiny little tab to keep them together. I wish there was something else for a bit of a more solid connection. But just the fact that they just completely hang off the back of the forearms here, I just think it looks obnoxious, and there's got to be something better they could have done with that. I don't love the way these pieces peg into the shoulder here. There's just a huge gap there, which I don't love. And then in vehicle mode, these pegs are just hanging out there, very noticeable. So I don't really care for that either. These little pieces on the back, I mean, they're fine, I guess, but I feel like they do more to get in the way when transforming than they do bring aesthetically to the robot mode. That's a minor nitpick, but just while I'm naming things. The head sculpt, I feel like from far is kind of cool, but then when you kind of zoom in and get really close to it, it's kind of weird, and I'm not really sure what's going on with it. So I feel like from far away, like if you just had kind of like a cool visor eyes, but then it's like, I don't know, this part up here almost kind of looks cat-like, and then you have this visor head crest piece, and then are those his eyes? Are the pieces underneath like shades? What's going on with the mouth? I'm not really sure. There's a lot going on here, and I just can't really tell what's going on. Again, not a huge problem, just kind of a weird nitpick thing. I also don't love the legs. I feel like they're very tall and slender and just kind of feel, you know, like toothpicky. I feel like it would have been nice if they had a little bit more bulk, you know, maybe down here in the calf area, something like that. I don't know. This backpack area, I don't have a problem with. That compresses pretty nicely. These light bar pieces, like I said, I assume they're supposed to be some kind of shoulder cannons, but they just don't really come off that way at all. I think you really can if you want to just leave them as a light bar pegged in. I don't think that would get in the way of anything. Maybe they're just trying to hide the fact that this whole section here is completely hollow, so they wanted to bring those down so you wouldn't notice that there's all that space back there. Again, just guessing. So like I said, is it a terrible figure? No, it's not. I think there's definitely cool things to be done here. You know, it's kind of one of our major enemies so far in the line, so it's nice to get a Terracon, because really the only other one we have so far is Freezer. I do like the robot mode and the vehicle mode overall. I just don't think they're perfect by any means, and the transformation can be a little finicky and annoying. You get the hang of it pretty quick, but the first time or so, you know, kind of getting the arms back to where they're supposed to go and then keeping them in place until you can get the roof down, it can be a little annoying. And it just feels like in the vehicle mode, there's a few gaps as well. It just doesn't look all that great. And like I said, it's not terrible. It's not the worst. It's just enough little minor things that add up to the point where it's just not as satisfying as I wanted it to be. So like I said, it's just underwhelming. I'm going to say, should you pick this up? It's up to you. I think there's fun to be had here. I definitely think it's not so terrible you need to skip it all together. I just think keep some things in mind so that way if you kind of keep your expectations where they should be when you pick them up, then you won't be disappointed. Because like I said, it's not a terrible toy. It's just a bunch of minor things that tend to add up, and I'm a little underwhelmed with it. So just keep that in mind. If you think I'm overreacting, I get it. I definitely get it. Like I said, it's just for me, maybe it was the headspace I was in when I opened them. I don't know. But it just kind of was like, oh, that's like that. Oh, that's like that. And then I just find myself saying that a bunch of times. And then I was just kind of overall disappointed. So let me know what you guys think, though. I really want to hear from you in the comments below. Am I overreacting? Do you love this guy? Have you picked him up? Do you think he's great? Or do you agree with me with kind of the few things? Overall, he's fine. He's just not amazing. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.